Hey Sun Valley, today we're going to be looking at Colossians chapter 3 verses 1 and 2. But first I want to share this story with you. So when I was about 14 years old, I worked as a junior lifeguard. And it's junior because I wasn't quite old enough for full lifeguard certification yet, but had some training and would help fulfill some of the lifeguard responsibilities. And usually they would give the junior lifeguard some of the less desirable responsibilities, like the station where you would be on the pool deck, monitoring the pool deck for safety. And the number one rule of the pool deck was no running on the pool deck. And the reason that this was the least desirable of all of the different rotations is really two reasons. First, it was really hot standing out there on the pool deck in the middle of the Arizona summer. And second, it was just frustrating. It felt like a losing battle because there were kids just running everywhere. And the whole time you were at that station, it just felt like a constant reminder of slow down, remember to walk, please, no running, slow down, walk, please. And it wasn't that the kids were trying to break the rules. They were just so excited to get into that water. Their whole hearts and intentions were set on that pool. And it was really hard for them to remember to walk. And sometimes when there was a repeat runner, I would pull them to the side and have a little conversation about, hey, it's really dangerous when the pool deck gets wet, it gets really slippery. And if you're running, you could slip and fall and hit your head. You could slip into the pool. So it's really important that you remember to walk. Do you think you can remember to walk? And in that moment, they would say, yeah, I'll walk. And then sure enough, a few minutes later, there they are, all the way from the edge, running to cannonball into the pool. And it wasn't that they were trying to break the rules. It's just that their hearts and their minds were set on that refreshing pool water. And it just made me think of how when our hearts and our minds are set on something, we tend to just forget about the rules and the obstacles that stand in our way of getting it. And that brings us to our passage for today. So Colossians chapter 3, verses 1 and 2. But I actually want to back up and look at the paragraph that comes before. So we'll be starting in chapter 2 with verse 20. And it says this: "Since you died with Christ to the elemental spiritual forces of this world, why, as though you still belong to the world, do you submit to its rules? Do not handle, do not taste, do not touch. These rules, which have to do with things that are all destined to perish with use, are based on merely human commands and teachings. Such regulations indeed have an appearance of wisdom with their self-imposed worship, their false humility, and their harsh treatment of the body, but they lack any value in restraining sensual indulgence. Since then," this is chapter 3, verse 1, "since then you've been raised with Christ, set your hearts on things above, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things." Here's what I'm taking away from this passage today. Whatever our hearts and our minds are longing for, our actions will tend to follow. When our hearts are set on something that isn't good for us, if we're trying to follow rules like from the passage, do not handle, do not taste, do not touch, it's like telling an excited 9-year-old to walk, not run, into the pool. It might work for a minute, but it's really ineffective in changing our behavior, or even more importantly, it's ineffective in changing our lives. And there's bound to be some nasty slips and falls along the way. So instead, since we've been raised with Christ, since we've said goodbye to our old life, goodbye to our old way, our own way of doing things, and said yes to putting our trust in Jesus and doing things His way, we want to set our hearts on the things above. We want to set our hearts on Jesus and having a relationship with Him. If we're running towards Him, we don't have to worry about the rules because He's captured our hearts. A prayer that I often pray when I notice myself getting distracted by things that just don't matter that much and focusing on these things, this is what I pray sometimes. I'll say, Jesus, help me to desire you more than I desire, and then I'll say whatever it is that I'm chasing after instead of focusing and chasing after Him. Jesus, help me to desire you more than I desire achievement. Help me to desire you more than I desire being right. more than I desire approval of others, more than I desire money, more than I desire comfort or security. So today I want to encourage you to reflect on this question. What am I running to today, like a 9-year-old runs to a swimming pool on a hot day? If it's not Jesus, I want to invite you to ask you to help him with that. Would you take a moment and pray with me? Jesus, thank you for covering over all our mistakes. Jesus, thank you for making a way for us to be with you. Jesus, I want to pray that you would be the desire of our hearts, God. If there's something that we are desiring or going after that's earthly things that just don't matter that much, Jesus, I pray that you would help us to desire you more than those things today. It's in your name I pray, Jesus. Amen. Thanks, you guys. Have a great day.